So I bombed and then I walked home, which was a 4-hour walk or something like that. It was hours. And I kept going like, and my phone died. And I was like, oh, people offered me a ride. I'm like, no, I live down the street because it was this, but it was a whole town. And then on the walk home, I got egged.
The show must go on. Even if the show goes wrong, the show must go wrong.
So the way I like to start is if I could just have you introduce yourself quickly.
Sure. Right now?
Yeah,
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Kyle Lucey from Canada.
Yes, you're here visiting Berlin, and doing a little European tour. So the first question, what I like to start with is, when was like your last bad show? Have you had one on this European? I mean, you've been doing some of the mics here in Berlin. You must have had,
of course, yeah.
But any memorable bad shows so far on this trip across the water?
Because like to me, there's a huge difference between a bad show and I did bad.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure like, but if I were to blame it on the show, oh man, there's one that comes to mind, but it's certainly not recent. But I remember just, I don't know, like the MC like sat right beside the stage and it was like at a bar.
Uncomfortable.
Where, like, no, but it wasn't like he's basically lit on the stage.
Okay.
And he brought a girl over and was just trying to smash and was being so loud. And I'm like everyone's just looking at him if he could close the deal.
So this is a bar show in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing a bar show, and like explain to me the setup a little bit, because bar shows is such a wide range. Like, are most of the people there for the show, or some of these people just like they came to drink and now a comedy show is happening?
I think it was both. I think it was
Okay.
both. Yeah, because like in general, like. And, again, I might be wrong, but what I've noticed while doing comedy, like the second the comedy isn't the main thing, and sometimes you get desperate while producing a show. So you're like, oh, there's a drink special, and then we got a DJ after.
Yep.
Now we're on stage, and people are like, yo, this guy obviously sucks because there's like 10 other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's just like one of those things where like then people just start talking at their table. Like it just ruins everything.
Yeah.
And it's
There's
like
no
you might,
respect for the art form in these type of shows.
Yeah.
It's a knife fight.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I mean that one.
So you show up. Half the people are not there necessarily for the show. Were there like a few other comics on before you?
Yeah.
And are you watching? They're all eating a bag of dicks? Like what's?
No, that's the thing. It was kind of like, and I'm not one of those guys. Like I like to be objective. Like if I bombed, there's tons of times where I'm like, I did this wrong.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's because I fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely.
If people are sitting down, there's a spotlight on me and their seats are facing me and they paid, I bomb if that doesn't go well.
Yeah.
But this was a show like that kind of maybe sales weren't good, so they just kept letting people in to fill it. And then it just turned into people that weren't there for that, I think.
Yeah.
And so it just became a little bit, as you said, a knife fight a bit. Like the crowd started just going like, yo, who the fuck is this guy, man? Like they were like, yo, they told me to come here.
Yeah.
People were like, yo, shut up. Like I'm trying to do this in the back of the room. And I'm like, bro. And it wasn't like, you don't think I'm funny. It's like, I'm another person talking when there's a better show going on at the bar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the whole thing is because we're doing stand up tonight. So
yeah. And so before a show like that, are you watching the other acts go up thinking like, because I have this thing sometimes when a show's going badly where I'm like, I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah.
These guys aren't approaching it right. I've got the idea. And then you get up there and you're like, nah, all right, it's not savable.
Yeah.
But I've also had it the other way where you're like, you're just like, you just see how chaotic it is, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be brutal, and you're just sitting there waiting for your execution.
Yeah.
So what's the feeling before you go as you're watching the other acts?
Buddy, I'm in the. I go to the bathroom for like 5 minutes. I sing "Lose Yourself" as many times as I can.
You're like, arm spaghetti.
Shit.
Here we go.
No, like honestly though, I'll go into the bathroom and listen to Tool and do chin ups on the stall, and then get out there. No. Start shadowboxing in the handicap stall, listening to Tool.
I love a Tool reference,
Dude. I can't listen to Tool though. It makes me crazy.
Really?
I honestly I can't. I can't. I told myself that I can't do it anymore.
Uh,
It gives me a headbutt a waitress energy. So like, get me out of this Denny's and turn the Tool off because I'm about to.
I'm about to do a felony.
Bro, it's like so the stereotype of like giving a white guy named Kyle Monster punching the wall. When I listen to Tool, I gotta just fucking not listen to Tool.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I
I got in trouble actually. I worked as a bartender. I kept playing Tool at like a nice place.
and they were like,
kept
stop
telling me
it,
to.
dude.
Yeah, they're like, you can't play Tool. Like it was like a sexy gastro pub, and I would just be like, no, like fucking, because they gave me access to the iPod, so I would just always put on Tool. It wasn't that type of place.
They're like, who keeps playing Tool? And you're like, I don't know, but it rips. This is great.
But there was a time in my life where I was like, I genuinely felt that if I did a tab of acid and listened to Tool, it improved my brain the same as reading. Like, this is improving my everything inside. It just
You're like, look, everybody learns differently, and for me, it's acid and Tool. For you, it's Dostoevsky
Dude.
or whatever, Crime and War, Crime and Punishment.
I'm telling
for me,
ya.
it's acid and Tool.
dude, if you straight up, I recommend it. Like we have a promo code of acid and Tool. It's going to be popping up right there.
Yeah. Use the promo code Kyle at checkout.
Yeah.
And
Buddy.
okay, so,
My hands are actually fucking so sweaty now that I started talking about Tool.
Yeah. I want the
Holy
podcast to go a
shit.
little longer, so I'm gonna move it off of Tool now. But
Right, yeah, my
Okay,
bad.
so we're doing chin ups in the bathroom, and so you go up on stage, and then the MC kind of stays on stage with you, like just off to the side, and he's just loudly trying to get with a girl.
It just kind of like this one wasn't even that bad. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like I've had really bad shows, but this one was just kind of annoying. Like he wasn't trying to be an asshole to the show, but
He was just being oblivious?
oblivious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is he also doing time in between acts, or is he just like getting you guys up and then going back to like trying to chat up this lady?
No, he wasn't like doing it the whole show, but like during my set, he did it.
Yeah.
Like maybe like my set was good for like maybe 15 minutes. I had to do 45. And then that happened. And just there's all sorts of stuff happening.
Yeah.
Like,
And do you
Yeah.
lose your shit at that moment?
no, I
or
just,
what did
I
you-
finished my set, but I mentioned it afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like,
Did you address it on stage?
I think so. But when I address things on stage, I'll never be like, seriously be like, look at this fucking guy, man.
Yeah.
He's the fucking MC. Or I would never be like, I will never make it actually serious.
Yeah.
But I just found this to be a tool. I will,
Speaking of.
bro, don't get me started. I fucking love Tool.
Okay.
My eyes turn white. I start levitating. Oh shit.
But you find this as a tool?
Like, I'll make fun of something to get a laugh. Now the attention's back on me.
Yeah.
And then I could continue my set. Now, I won't make fun of you unless my friend has a rule. But my friend says if you see noses, don't deal with it. If you see ears, deal with it. Because now people are not looking at you and they're turning their head to look at something else. And now they're the show.
Right.
And that's what I just mean, kind of like having command when you're doing stand-up in a rough place is just to be, I'll never make it real, but just to get a laugh off. So that's kind of what I was doing. I was making fun of this and that. But I was making fun of this situation. Situations kept happening. And then I'm doing jokes about making fun of the situations keep happening for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then people stopped laughing at that. And then the situation just kept happening. And you know what I probably should have done is I probably should have just screamed at the top of my lungs and just had one of those like crazy awesome moments. But it was like, it was a kind of a dangerous bar. In a shitty town. It wasn't a dangerous bar, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So I just like, it just kind of like was fucked.
Yeah. There is a moment when you're on stage in those moments where you're like, oh, like whatever I do, like, because I think when you're on stage, there is, for me at least, I'll say, I have a fearlessness that I do not have off stage. You know, like on stage, I'm kind of like, yeah, you're fucking whatever, dude. Yeah. And then as soon as I get off stage, I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm so sorry. Like,
yeah,
I've never been punched, and I don't want to start now.
But you are like, and I've seen your stuff, and also like just like also how you look too, like your vibe. You know, it has. Like Adam Sandler might have had like he could play the aggressive guy, but that's his humor. Like he doesn't like it is funny when something like that happens or whatever, right? I think that there's like an element to theater to stand up.
Of course.
In a way where people know, you know what I mean? They don't, but sometimes you just get a drunk guy, right? Like have you ever had that where some guy took what you're saying seriously and was in your face at the end of a show or something?
So I as I was telling you before we started the pod, I basically started comedy in Berlin.
Right.
And I did my first tour. This was like fall of 2023. I went to like 10 different cities around Europe. And then I went home for Christmas that year. And I was like, I'm going to do my show when I go home. Cool. Which also, to be honest, not cool. Like I was not experienced enough to be like, but whatever. I rented this small comedy club near where my parents. I invited a bunch of friends and family. It was such a not great setup where you're like, oh, my mothers are here, my wife's here, my high school track coach is here, like his son is there, like all of these people I know are there,
and then all your materials like ripping on them.
Yeah,
basically.
And my whole show was at that time was all about growing up with two moms, and my mothers were there. It was so whatever.
That's so funny.
And there was this one drunk guy, who kept heckling during the show, which was also funny because like the whole audience were my friends and family, so they're like, shut up, like they hated him, you know, whatever. And this is my first time performing back in the US basically since I started, and I dealt with a little bit, finally got him to shut up, and then after the show he did the thing where he came up to me and he was like, gave you a lot of good stuff to work with up there.
God.
We did a pretty good thing together. And you're like, oh, come on, dude, you know. But what I got the vibe he was weird, so I just didn't. And then in the most American first show back in America moment, at the end of the night I'm leaving and I hear the staff of the club and they're like, that guy, he's whatever, they have like a code at these bars, you know, like he's 5150 or I can't remember what the thing is.
Shit.
He's known to carry a firearm and get blackout drunk.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't say something shitty to him when he came up to me after the set.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Okay, so I do want to get like we met here in Berlin briefly, but if I can ask a little bit about your history in comedy. So you said you started outside of Toronto. What how did you get your start?
Yeah, I started really young.
How old?
My first set I was 12.
What?
But I quit because I really bombed.
Okay.
So, but
you're like, fucking homework sucks.
I literally was like, because at that time I was still in recess, so I like asked like teachers if I could like during recess. I'm like, yo, could I bounce a joke off you? And I think they all just laughed because I was a little kid.
Yeah.
They were trying to be sweet to me. But I'm like, all right, that worked with like 6 teachers. That should kill tonight. And I the joke was so bad.
Dude, that is so. How, like, and where did you? Because I mean, if you're 12, like most shows are at like bars or whatever. Did you have to like get permission ahead of time or something?
I had another friend and we had a trench coat. No, that'd be wild. But but the mic is out of the dick.
Yeah.
The top guy's just chilling up there.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
No, it was like
I think you could do crowd work with the guy on the left.
they're both doing it at the same time. So I kind of did like a lot of growing up in separate places.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the places, like every summer, we would go to like a trailer park. It was kind of like more of a cottage situation, but it was like we met people who lived at other trailer parks nearby and stuff like that. So like we went to another trailer park, but this was like a trailer park where people usually live there.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, it was kind of rough, but they had like a bluegrass concert. There was like, I don't know, 70 people just on this big lawn.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend basically convinced me to do stand-up when they take a break because they had a halftime. And they said yeah, and I went up on stage and like I got the people were clapping like, oh my god, he's doing stand, like whoa, what the hell,
this kid's 12.
yeah. And my first joke bombed, so I just got my dad. I was like, they say Windex is better than the leading brand. Who is the leading brand? Nobody laughed. And then I think I was just like,
did you hit him with like a tough crowd?
no, I think I just went like I said another thing I thought of, and then, like after 4 of them, my dad went up on stage and started like singing and dancing, and he just try to like
break the tension.
yeah, and then he just was like, my dad was like talking to the audience, and he goes, "Get off the stage, like to the
dude.
side." Yeah,
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my, so, and do you remember like when you're 12, like, do you remember that feeling of like those jokes just like, because I mean, first of all, not a great comedy situation outdoor.
I was so
in
traumatized.
between, but like after the first joke didn't hit, do you remember that feeling of like panic setting in, or were you like, the next one's gonna get him?
I literally was like, why did dad bring me off? I was killing. And I was bombing so bad. Like I made it so weird probably. And like, even though I heard
Do
the
you remember
silence.
any of the other jokes?
No, I think I said something about Jews though. I think
and that got applause breaks.
No. I just said like, I think I just said, I don't even know what I said, but and I'm joking when I don't know the second one. The only one I remember was the Windex one, because that one I was like, I'm gonna start strong and fucking get him.
Yeah.
It was the
I
dumbest
want this
joke
to be
ever.
the closer, but I better get him on my side. I'll
Yeah.
open with the Windex
I'll
stuff.
figure it out halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like,
That's crazy. And
yeah. I didn't do stand up for like 5 years after that.
But
like
then
I
you
was.
still started when you're 18, 17?
Oh, sorry, I'm not good at math. I did like another set when I was. I started doing improv around. I did in high school because we had like a thing, but then I joined like a troupe and I started making like $100 a gig and stuff like that. I was like still I think it was grade 10, and I did like a show a week. It was an old Toronto troupe that ended up doing like a lot of bar shows in Durham, and shout out Durham Improv and Stephanie Herrera. She was so nice to me. And anyway, so I started opening for that improv troupe while we had bar shows, stand up. And then,
what was your, because like, I'm interested. Sorry, can I ask? I'll back up.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 31.
You're
now.
31.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like seriously, I've been doing comedy for 16 years.
Yeah.
But I don't count the kid shit.
Well, yeah. But still, that's interesting to me because, I mean, so I'm 36, so we're not that far apart. Because that's interesting to me. Like, I feel like I knew of stand-up when I was a kid. Like, I remember my parents showing me, like, this Robin Williams special. Then my godfather introduced me to Eddie Murphy and, like, these little things. But, like, it was such a world, like, that was not a world that you were, I feel like, easily connected to as a kid. So how did you even get the idea of like, I want to write a bit or be on stage at that age? Was that something that was in the house, or like what? How did?
Yeah. No, honestly, watching Jim Carrey movies as a kid, I think I was 5 years old, and I had a book that I would just write in, like a diary, and fantasize and just be like, my life as the kid Jim Carrey, it was called. And it was that I would get in movies and start being funny. Like I just loved being funny. I always loved it.
Yeah.
And I just love all funny. Like I love laughing, and I love being around other funny people, and I love laughing and
Sorry.
but I love laughing in new ways that I haven't laughed at before and stuff like that. Like I just enjoy it so much, and I find it so interesting. I just have been obsessed with it my whole life, that I just wanted to be involved. In whatever way. Yeah. So that's it.
So in high school, you start doing improv. Then the improv people start being like, okay, you can go up and open these improv shows doing stand-up.
Bombed on all of them, and I really made it weird on all of them.
And did you then have to go join the troupe, or could you just like fuck off?
No, eventually they're like, we're not going to do stand-up anymore, Kyle. Like they were like, yeah, we're just going to bring you back to the improv portion of it. Because when I first started stand-up, I would literally, at like, when you do like a gig and there's like, majority of the audience is like in their 40s and 50s. Yeah. I'd go up on stage and be like, so I shot someone and fucked the bullet hole. I would just start saying all this crazy shit.
You mean
and
just
people
like
are
17-year-old boy humor?
I would literally, I watched Dane Cook and I'm like, all right.
Got it.
This is how, like Dane Cook, when I started doing stand-up, like I was obsessed with watching Dane Cook, and I would just like I wouldn't do, like I would like write, but I also was like, just a fucked up feral person that I wrote. The shit that I was writing was like, so it was performed super loud, like how Dane Cook would, but I would write like the most fucked up. It's not even funny. It was just like fucked up.
Yeah.
The punchline would be like, and then I fucking, maybe, and then it's like.
And so I can only imagine 40-year-olds who are there for an improv show, and now there's like a 17-year-old boy who's doing like bullet hole vagina jokes.
No, that's like that's not even what I would say, but it would be like.
But just for so I can imagine that's like going to silence or gasps.
It was like people shifting in their seats, like I'm gonna fuck. We can't. Like they were like pissed off and offended, and rightfully
and
so.
How did you? But like that's also crazy. Were you? Did you still have the like bluegrass show delusion of like, no, like this is going well, or were you then like, oh, I didn't like that one, but
well, I literally was. Yeah, I was incredibly delusional till I think I was about 20.
Well, you need, I think, also when you start, whatever age you start comedy, you need some delusion to be able to make any sort of progress.
Of course, yeah. And even when I was 20, I was still delusional, and I don't think I've been like normal for like 3 or 4 years personally. Like now, I feel like I'm kind of objective with everything.
Yeah,
but. At least when in regards to like when you get off stage and whatever the result is, or whatever the result is, like in general, like yeah.
So do you have do you have a memory of like a specific one of these improv openings that was really terrible?
I mean, I don't remember the jokes that I did back then, because around that time I did a show, and I think it was like I met a guy at a bar. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've got a comedy night. Here's my email, kid. And I messaged him like 10 fucking times without a follow-up and just kept bugging him, and he put me on. And it was so you said Yuck Yucks?
Yeah.
It was a gig with Yuck Yucks, but they have road gigs. So these are now like the best comics in the country. And I'm, I think I was 7. That's when I was around 17 or 18. And they booked me to do 20 minutes. And I had nothing. And I went up and bombed so fucking bad that because even in the other shows, there'd be chuckles, but I was still bombing, right?
Yeah.
But this one, Also
maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but like there is also like, you can get some laughs from the like, you reacting to the joke not going well, or also some just like people are uncomfortable, so they need to break the silence.
Yeah. I don't know what it was really, but I remember bombing that one so bad that must have been around 18-ish. I ripped my joke book up and I threw it under my bed in a way that I can't even touch that. I had like beds that don't lift up, right? So it's like, I'm gonna have my dad ask me to move that, like, or whatever, right? I'm never seeing that again. Like, what the fuck was I thinking? And then I think I think I got booked for another thing, and I was like, okay, I'm doing it, and then I blanked on stage. I completely, like my first show back after that, I completely blanked.
So
and,
so you get booked for this like national. So there's like kind of like national headliners, established comics. They're like, we've got this kid. We're gonna give him 20 minutes.
I don't. I think they did that to fuck with me, because in a funny, friendly way.
Yeah.
The comics were like, "Can you do 20 minutes?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like delusional, and I'm gonna flop around and like make my friends at how I make them laugh at recess, or I had lunch. I was in high school, but still, like I was a fucking idiot. Like,
and did you do 20 minutes? Or were you on stage for 20 minutes? Or because I could imagine if I were fucking with like a young comic, and be like, yeah, okay, go up and do 20, but then you still light them at 7 or whatever.
I think the comedians were actually. I don't have a memory of it. I remember vague things, but everything else I think is like
You
maybe
blocked it out a little bit.
I think it was like just so long ago, and it was only one night that I only have some memories of it, so I can't say how the comedians were. I think that they were actually incredibly supportive.
Yeah.
And they all were super helpful. But I just bombed so bad. I think it's just more so what it was. And yeah, I was just so humiliated. I had quit.
And so afterwards, you were like, I'm done with comedy.
Of course, yeah. And I was like, I'll still do the improv gigs once in a while. And then there was like a comedy festival in my hometown. I did it and blanked on stage. So I was like, okay, well, fuck. Like, and then they were like, there just wasn't a lot of comedians in that town. So I think they're like, we need another show. So they had what's, when they do like wild cards or whatever. And then they had me on the wild card show. And then I actually did well. And then they moved me to the finals, and then I did the finals, and then I won.
Oh, wow.
So then that gave me confidence, but I still was like.
And at that point, you've torn up the joke notebook. So did you go back to the drawing board in terms of like, I got to write some new jokes?
Yeah, I was such a hack. I had a guitar on stage.
Oh, okay.
Dude,
you pivoted to the guitar.
And I was like, the guitar stuff's working. So bad. I was like, and my songs were the fucking gayest shit ever. I don't say that, but they were like, it was AWKWARD. Why does this shit always happen to me? Literally. And I'd be like, and I would try to sing, and my voice is really bad, and I would still really try to sing. And it's like, oh my God. But I think they just had me win because I was like a stupid, cute little kid. They thought it'd be like I would, when like, I don't know. They gave it to the kid. You know what I mean? They were trying to be cute.
Yeah. But I mean, again, like, so all of that to be, yes, maybe all of that is true. But I would also like to just say it is, to me, really incredible when someone does start so young. Because I just think, like, I tried to start when I was 22, and I didn't have the confidence at 22 to keep going. And then I didn't even really start until I was 29.
Wow.
Because that's how long it took me to, like, grow some balls and be like, oh, I actually want to pursue something. I was scared of pursuing something and failing, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so I mean, yeah, okay, you had the guitar, maybe they gave it to you, but still, it's incredible to me that you were fucking 18 and going for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and yeah, I don't know how you started, but like till when I started to become like I would consider myself a consistent comedian, was like excruciating, humiliating, horrible bombs for so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then like, and you hear this a lot on like comedy podcasts, obviously, but like you hear the people that murdered their first show, they end up quitting, I guess, when they end up having a bad show or whatever. Yeah. So
take any memorable ones from, like memorably bad, like where you crashed out on stage or like had to deal with a heckler for the first time or any of these type of things?
Yeah, I would say like, man, I used to be very so some of the stuff I say is kind of shocking because like the way I grew up was really fucked up. And I would try to hide that before, But it's good. You kind of have to say it. Because I thought like, you know, it's also like if I rat on the people doing it to me or whatever, like I still live with them. There was this aspect of things. So I would be very fake. And I would be a false person. And then I showcased for Yuck Yucks, and he said that he liked my Mark Brezen, who signed me, but he didn't sign me for years till out. But the first great thing he said, he was like, what you're saying is funny, but how you're saying it isn't truthful to what you're saying. Like he hit the nail in the head, and he just gave, it was like the ego death of mushrooms, but I just based off of what somebody said. And so then I was like, okay, well.
Can you unpack that more for me? Like, so, like you, at that point, you're talking about what, some of the stuff you went through in your childhood or your upbringing that was tough, but he was kind of saying like, you're doing it in a like
happy-go-lucky,
is weird, like type of.
Yeah. Well, I was just afraid of like, people thinking, I genuinely thought that what I was thinking was illegal. Like I'd be like, I can't say this on a microphone. Like I could get in trouble for that. Or not illegal, but like this is not okay.
People will not like me or whatever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like, which makes sense, right? Like, to approach certain things with caution. And it wasn't like, so then I just started saying it. I started just saying some of the bad stuff that happened to me, and it would just make things hella fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like I would just go on stage, like packed audience, like energy's great, people like hot chicks and dudes with beards and fucking tattoo sleeves, and I'd go up on stage, I'd be like, well, I was molested. Like, people are like, what? And I would just be like, yeah. Can you fucking believe that shit? Like there'd be no joke. And then like I'd be like, well, I'm trying to talk about it, guy. Like all the clubs are like, can we kick this guy out? And then like Joe Tachito, who's a comedy club owner in Toronto, basically had my back and was like, he's staying. There's something I like about him. But yeah, I mean, eventually he'd be like, you gotta fucking. He's
well,
like,
you don't work on it.
You gotta. Well, he's like, you gotta pick it up.
Yeah.
At a certain point, and he's had that conversation with me a couple times. There's one time I also did mushrooms and did stand up, and he had me on 3 sold out shows, and I bombed all of them, and I made it weird on all of them. I was just like, I had an ego death, and then I told him that I was on mushrooms, and he laughed, and he's like, just don't do that again.
Yeah.
You know, so he was super cool. But I mean, that's the thing, like when you're doing stand up young, you make stupid mistakes at your job,
right?
You know what I mean? And
completely.
It's one of those things where if I look back, I'm like, it's incredible how so many people are so forgiving. And I would be quite forgiving for now that I'm 31, there's young comics that I see that are in their 20s. And I certainly have a soft spot for them because I was that age. You know, I think I was a lot harder to deal with than anyone that I know.
Well, that's another thing I'm fascinated by people who start young, like yourself, is like the whole thing of comedy is like finding your voice, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's what's interesting about that is like you're trying to find your voice and you're trying to figure out who you are. Because to me, I'm like, my 20s was like I wasn't performing and I was still trying to find out who am I? Like, who am I in the world? Whatever. So that to be doing that on stage is extra like intense, I would imagine, or it would offer extra pitfalls.
But to me, like stand up raised me. Like I didn't have a good, I guess, family life. And I got kicked out, not super young, but 19. But I haven't really seen them since. Maybe once or twice. Maybe closer to literally 4 or 5 times. Wow. But I just like, and we don't talk much. So, you know, I had like, and even when I lived there, I wasn't taught much.
Yeah.
You know, so I had no social skills. And like I genuinely was feral in several ways. You know, I would just do things out of innocence that were fucked up. Nothing too crazy, just getting too drunk sometimes.
Yeah.
And not mean to anyone, but slurring my words in front of important bookers.
Yeah.
There's shit like this where it's like, this kid is unprofessional.
Yeah.
It was just all this stupid shit.
But also, again, like, how are you supposed to know better? You're 23
Yeah.
or whatever, and
older
trying to
comedians would genuinely be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, I guess that's not okay. And I
Yeah.
genuinely, like, there's like 10 comics that raised me. They'll never talk to me again. They all hate me, but no, I'm kidding. But yeah, like, seriously, there is like a handful of comedians that fucking, they might not even know it. But I mean, yeah.
But they were the people. So
Yeah.
can I ask about that mushroom
Oh,
experience?
yeah, sure.
'Cause, I mean, I've had a few times I've performed where I was just like a little bit tuned up, but I think starting later, I was never like my wildest version of myself had already passed.
Right. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
People are, oh, I wish I started young. I'm like, why? Like, you fucking make the dumbest mistakes publicly.
So you take mushrooms, you know you have a show that night.
I thought it would make me better.
So you were just had you recently like gotten into psychedelics and you were like,
yeah.
okay.
Well, you know what? So I come from like a lot of, and I'll just say it, I come from a lot of trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm genuinely, I don't like to use the term healed because it sounds like some fucking Jesus-y thing.
Yeah.
I'm healed, child. But like, I am, right? So I don't feel a lot of what was back then, but psychedelics, for whatever reason, were like an antidepressant for so long. And they genuinely, 1 out of 4 things that I did, therapy, psychedelics, I started doing martial arts. And for several things, like I have PTSD, martial arts genuinely makes me feel safe while walking around in public. Where that I never had that feeling. I would always be pent up here.
Yeah, just like on alert.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I thought it was PTSD, and I thought I was like about to be attacked at any moment. And just all these things, like these sorry, what are we talking about?
So we're talking
mushrooms.
about the
Right.
mushroom show, but
I was doing stand up on psychedelics often at that time.
okay. So you
Maybe
got
like
into psychedelics.
yeah.
You realized like this is a bit of a medicine
Yeah.
to the work that I'm doing internally, and
And I would microdose. Like I wasn't there to get fucked up, but
Yeah.
I think I was just like, maybe it was a while. Like when I did acid, I did a quarter tab. So that wasn't like anything crazy.
Yeah.
And
well, I also think there's a natural, having my own obvious history with psychedelics. It's
Yeah.
like I also think there's a natural thing where like if you have a powerful experience, you start to be like, well, where are other places that I can try to apply this? Like, what else is there
Right.
to gain from this? How else can I? And I can imagine if you're doing stand up, you're like, well, what would it be like if I'm tripping on stage?
No, I mean it was bad. Like, not that it was bad, but it was more so like it was just okay. This is part of my life now. Like this makes me better, and stand up is part of my life, so they're both gonna have to work. So I just would, but I think like there was times where I would perform on them that I killed harder than I ever have. So, but it didn't make me consistent.
Yeah.
So now the only thing I really do is coffee. Because at the end of the day, even when you're making content during the day, you're performing and you're public. And now I'm going to perform publicly today. And you can't, even if your shit's funny, unless you're like Captain Jack Sparrow kind of vibe, where it's like a little drunk, gives you swagger, it's kind of like, oh, is he drunk? That could like kind of throw people off.
Yeah.
So I just stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this particular show, so you've performed on psychedelics a few times, many times.
Yes, a lot.
And you've had some good ones where you're just
Mostly
like,
good.
What is a good like where you just feel like you're in a flow state and it's like the consciousness, like inner monologue is you're doing it into the mic and it's working, Or are you like still hanging on to trying to do material?
No, like if how would I say? It would just like, I would do my jokes, but the way I perform them, I think there were times where maybe sometimes it gave me a little pep in my step where I performed the joke really good or whatever. And I would be like, it's that classic thing. Like I'm only fun that you start thinking I'm only funny when I do this. You start, because, I don't know who you are, but like sometimes you could build up a ritual in your head.
Of course.
And I built up so many rituals in my head throughout doing comedy, and like anyone that involves drugs is not better for you. Yeah. Like I would be like, oh, if I smoke a bit of weed before I go on, because one time it worked, and it's like, yeah, it's a waste. But yeah.
And because I just think about like bad trips I've had, which, bad trip is a relative term because it's like, it's also how you frame it afterwards. Usually there was something in there for me.
Right.
But the overwhelming feeling a lot of times is this kind of like, or for me was this incredible feeling of awkwardness.
Yeah. When you're on stage with it? Yeah.
That's off stage.
Oh, right.
So then I'm like, bombing is also this incredible feeling of awkwardness.
Right.
So I can't imagine the two as like a multiplier. What was that feeling like? Were you on there like, oh, this isn't going well? What was I thinking like in the head? Like,
I mean, yeah, like when I talk about that Mushroom Night, the 3 sold out shows, it was like I was falling into a black hole and I couldn't run out of it. The bomb was happening and I just like couldn't. I think the reason why is like I had an ego death and then like instantaneously didn't relate to any of my material. And so I'd walk up on stage like almost unable to even utter a lie. And in that, it's like, wow, I really don't have any jokes. And I had jokes, but they weren't. I ended up ditching a lot of them after. I felt like they were just not me anymore. But that's the problem. Like when you're growing up on stage, it's like there's so many. Okay, like in 6 months you could have a new chapter. Yeah. In a month you could have a new chapter. But yeah, and I'm sure that's still happening now. But yeah, so I just bombed all of them. But I think I would have been able to sell a lie a bit better or something. But maybe I think long term that was a good moment because I like ripped the Band-Aid off, but it was still like I ate shit. So
yeah. When did you start traveling for gigs to clubs in Canada? Were you doing that as a feature, or did that not start happening until you were headlining?
No, I was. I've always been someone who, if I can do something myself and it'll get me to a goal faster, I will. Mm-hmm. So I did a tour when I was like 23. And I basically did, you could headline like a bar show in Edmonton every day and make $100 a day. And you could do that in Calgary. And then there was a club in BC. So you could do, 3 cities, 2 provinces. And then there's clubs on that had me open. Like the big shows, I was an opener. So you have to go out west with like 30 minutes. And I killed a lot of shows, and I don't know if I really bought. I think the worst I did was like a rope-a-dope. Like I didn't do well, but they were had moments, but that crowd was kind of eating me alive at other points. But I ended up surviving it. And that, like, a club never headlined me until I was about 24. But it took from 24, I think I started headlining more often at 28, 29. And then to actually make it a living, it was when, you could headline, but like actually Mark Breslin gave me a national tour for Yuck Yucks so that I would headline every club in the country. There's about, I think, 13. Mm-hmm. And they fly you out to all of them, and then they give you hotels for all of them, and then you get paid. So it's like you have consistent work, but I think after my first one of that, I was able to then get the Irish passport and come out here.
Mm-hmm.
And from that first one, and I'm about to do my fourth with them, it's been just constant. Because that's just me being like messaging people and getting it
Being
done.
on it.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
Yeah. So what did you, that first, so sorry, two questions. First is, do you think that part of the reason you said like most clubs didn't start headlining you until you're 28, do you think you weren't ready? Or do you also think there was an element where it's just like, we can't have a 25-year-old headlining?
No, I think that yeah, like a lot of the times clubs didn't think I was ready, and they were probably right.
Mm-hmm.
Any club that had me believed in me and kind of took a shot and kind of set up the night for me to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, and they knew, they were like, we got this bright young kid. They probably see me kill like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I could do the 45, and I could, right? And
Yeah.
I could, but looking back, that 45, it was a very X-rated 45. So the only places that said yes to me first were places that allowed that.
Yeah.
You know, and a part of me would be like, you know, pissed off that a lot of clubs weren't booking me. But looking back, you know, if you're telling fucking like dead baby jokes all day, there's only a certain amount of businesses.
There's
know?
a certain audience for
Yeah.
that, and not every club is that audience.
And I like
Or
a
has
good
that
dead,
audience.
not that I even really have a dead baby joke or anything, but like a fucked up joke is funny, but like it took me a very long time to be able to say it in good company.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I had to heal my trauma, because bro, like before I would say something fucked up and people would be like, does he actually mean that?
Yeah.
Like, because you could see like, you know, my eyes were bloodshot and my teeth were showing like they.
Yeah.
So I just looked like fucking weird. But now that it's like obviously a joke, and also I don't really have a lot of fucked up jokes anymore. That used to be like all I could seem to write. I just kind of like, yeah, like healed a bit, and then it's different. But yeah, it was pretty rough before.
What was that first tour when you were like 23, when you're like going to Edmonton 7 nights and then Calgary and then going out west to BC? It's like, do you feel like what did you learn from that first kind of like, okay, I'm out here? Was that like important to your kind of comedic journey?
Yeah, for sure. It gave me confidence. It gave me a lot of, you know, I felt really down on myself for a lot. So it helped me. And you know what I do, you know how like, good stage time is usually reserved for the best acts, especially like 10 years ago. Like followings matter more now, but I just want a good stage time.
Yeah.
So more so I was like, if I get this, then there's a club or two back home that'll probably book me. And I just want to like, I just always wanted to get better at comedy, do comedy, get better at comedy. And then eventually one day you could be really good.
Yeah. So another thing I'm interested in with this podcast is like, I think it's an interesting career because there is no path, as we were talking about before we started. And I also think it's very easy. You always get focused on like the next thing. Like, oh, if I get booked for this, then I can maybe get. And so you there's not a lot of like stopping and enjoying like, wow, look at all this progress I've made, or I can't believe
Right.
I'm, at this place. You have these moments where you're like, here we go. And those aren't the moments.
Yeah.
So have you had any of those where you really thought like, oh my gosh, this is really going to be the thing that like pops me, that ended up being disappointing? Or
I don't know if I've thought anything is going to make me blow up. I don't know if I've ever, like, if I do this, I'll be big or anything.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, for years, I've been funny, but for years, I don't think, I think it was just too nasty.
Mm.
Like, and not in like a great way. Like, it was just kind of gross. Like, the stuff that I found funny was just too juvenile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it might work. It might be funny. It might be this and that. And it's certainly like a tool in the tool belt, I guess. And seriously.
I was wondering when we were going to bring it back to Tool. Yes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. But I just mean like, yeah. So I knew I was funny, but like.
But your sense of humor wasn't connecting in the way that you
And I kind of
wanted.
knew that like, I got to get a lot better before I knock on any doors. That's
Yeah.
like, I haven't felt like I want to knock on doors until kind of recently, to be honest. Like now I feel like, okay, like I don't have, when I'm in Germany, I don't have different jokes in Netherlands, and I don't have different jokes in Ireland or Canada or wherever. I'm doing like I'm just doing my stuff and it's working everywhere. So now I'm like, okay, well, this is something that I could like, I feel like I'm starting to like, I look at the world around me, but if I'm obvious before, I would only make like rough audiences laugh, and everybody else would like not stand up and leave, but just shift in their seats and kind of be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So it just made me go like, you know, so anytime I would do any show, I was just kind of happy to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really want this and that, but I don't know if I could. But now I'm like, it's still, but that's the thing. Now I don't even think that like anything can really do anything for you other than yourself. Unless like Bill Burr or Louis C.K. see you kill and go like, you want to go on the road with me?
Yeah.
Shit like that that's kind of something. Or if like Netflix rep sees you crush and goes like, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Here's my card.
Yeah.
Like if something like that, there's huge things that can like do stuff for you. And I know there's tons of other stuff that could do stuff for you. But like ultimately, I just feel like that crash of disappointment too much. It's a waste of energy to give your power to, sorry, I'm burping in the mic. It's to give your power to anything that much. It's because then it's like, I know so many people that are in great positions right now that are doing very big things in America. And I'm sure they were noticed in ways, and I'm sure like people certainly helped them. But as someone who was watching them just online, you know, like they fucking rolled up their sleeves, put out content, blew up, and they fucking got it.
They did the work.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And they were like 10 years in murdering
Yeah.
before a video blew up. That's, you know what I mean? Like, so it just makes me very hopeful and optimistic, genuinely, that anything can really happen. Seriously, if you work your butt off and point at a direction and go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like anything that happens along the way is awesome. A great gig, a great this and a great that. But ultimately, like if you roll up your sleeves, do stand up every night, try to, you know, get to the next thing for sure, like submit to clubs and do the work and stuff. But like that to me is like in 20 years, or in 10 years, that person's going to be crazy as opposed to the person that just got the thing.
Yeah. Well, I also think you mentioned something there where you're like the good shows and stuff. That's a thing I'm working on reminding myself is like when I made the jump to being like, I'm trying to make money from this.
Right.
That changed things. And I think I made that jump too early in many ways, but that was also my life circumstances. Like my old job is I was a commercial fisherman in Alaska.
That's
and, like,
hilarious.
Yeah.
I also totally can see that now.
Yeah.
Is that a dolphin there? Wow, bro.
But like I had a really good season, and it was like I was aging out, and then I was here, and you're like,
what do you mean aging out? Is older not okay?
I mean, the position I was doing, I was a deckhand. It's like, I mean, I could have kept going, but A, it's super dangerous.
Huh.
And B, most of the people who are doing that job are in their early to mid 20s. And then when you get to my age, like 35, that's the point where it's like, it's either time to buy a boat and this is your lifestyle and you become a skipper and, you know, you whatever, or it's time to like get a different job. So I didn't want to make that my life. So I was here and I saw a little opportunity that you could make money,
Yeah.
But my point with all of that, just to say, I think when you start making it about money, it made me forget, and I'm just coming back to this now, where it's like the whole reason I started doing stand up is it's the funnest thing to do in the whole world.
Right.
Like, as someone who's had my own issues with like drugs and alcohol and whatever, it's like it's the only thing in my life that ever got me to be like, oh, my friends are going partying, I'm not going to go partying because I can do stand-up instead.
Right.
It's the only thing I ever picked over partying.
Yes. Yes.
So it is a good reminder, I think, sometimes just like, oh, what a lucky thing that it's fun,
I totally agree. And I love the shows that remind you of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because it can be very business. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just survival, I guess. But it's nice to remember that it's show business.
Well, okay, so to kind of wrap up here, I was just going to ask is like any other, just bad show stories that come to mind. And it could be, something going wrong on stage because of the venue, heckler type stuff, or you just weren't like something where you weren't happy with the way you handled it, or just some like, I guess, if I ask the question like, what's one of your worst shows, what comes to mind?
This one is the funnier option. Because I was might have been 16 and I did a show and I bombed, and I just moved. You don't know the area. It's a suburbs of Toronto.
Okay.
There's the GTA.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Oshawa, Whitby, then Ajax. I lived in Whitby.
Mm-hmm.
There's a highway that runs the whole way.
Okay.
Literally from actually one end of Toronto, I think, one end to the west end of Toronto, all the way to Bowmanville, which is on the other side. If you were to drive, it would be an hour and maybe 2 hours. So I lived from one town to the next, but I thought it was the same street. So I bombed and then I walked home, which was a 4-hour walk or something like that. It was hours. And I kept going like, and my phone died. And I was like, oh, people offered me a ride. I'm like, no, I live down the street, because it was this, but it was a whole town. And then on the walk home, I got egged. A group of teens drove by, and
so you bombed. You're walking home with a dead phone, and in like a movie.
Could I just say one more detail?
Yes, please.
To look older, I wore the suit my dad bought me for prom. And like, I come home and my parents are like, "How was the show?" And I'm wearing this suit with eggs all over it. And literally, they were like, "Kyle, there's eggs on your suit."
Oh shit!
Yeah.
It's also that's such a great detail, because when I was 22 and I first started, I was working at a bank.
Yeah.
And I had to wear like slacks and a shirt and a tie, and so I would perform in that.
Right.
Also because I was young and I felt like I want to
Look
be
older.
taken seriously.
Yeah.
I've got stuff to say.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because now when I look back, I'm like, oh, I made myself look like so much more of a child by like denying who I was and being like, no, I'm up here in a tie. Like I got dick jokes to tell you. So it's just so funny to think of you in your high school prom suit.
Yep.
Bombing.
Bro. I know, that was like, and then I have shows that obviously I did my worst and I bombed really bad.
Did you ever have a show? I guess you did. You told me about the one where you ripped up the notebook. But I remember I had a show where I got heckled. It was like this. So because my parents are gay, I got booked, and Berlin has like a big queer scene. So I would get booked on a lot of these shows where it was like kind of like queer, women only kind of shows.
Right.
And at one of those shows, I tried to like work in this little joke I had about my wife's period, and this woman did not like. She was like, "That is not funny," and I like, and you know, I just melted down, and I did not.
She said that to you on stage while you were saying it, or sorry?
Yeah, so I said the joke, and then she was like, you know, that's not funny, and then I tried to like come back and at her, and everybody was just on her side, and I crashed out to the point that like at the end of the set I was trying to do a joke, and I just kind of got defeated, and this woman in the front goes, "It's okay, I know it's been hard, but I think you're being pretty funny," and it was like, oh dude.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, I didn't do set spots for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And to get my nerve up to go on stage again, this is really embarrassing. I started like going back and like finding like voice memos of shows I had done well. I was like,
actually.
I need to hear myself do well, otherwise I just can't believe in myself anymore.
That's actually super fucking smart that you did that, I think. You like CPR defibrillated your mind.
That's true. I was like, clear.
I think that's actually so smart. I might use that. Yeah. You're like, it's honestly, so sad.
It makes me feel like a narcissist, but it is helpful if I listen to a show where I do well, just to remember like, oh, I am good at this to some extent, or
of course.
Whatever.
I think it's super smart.
But yeah, so that was one. But any ones that made you like kind of like pause and be like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or
I had like I don't know what particular moment it was, but I remember having a moment when I was like, I think you know when like you do the quote unquote good shows in a city or whatever, when you're like going from open micer to that, you're like noticing, whoa, I'm on like some of the best shows in the city. And I remember saying to myself, I am not funny enough to be on these shows. And I had a real moment with myself, like, I'll do these shows and because I think I bombed one really bad. So I was like, we'll finish these shows. I'll do my best. I think I bombed a few of them really bad, actually. But then I was like, I'm just going to do the stages that can make me better, you know, so there's audience, but like there's no stakes. And I'm going to not ask them for another spot. I'm just going to get good. Yeah. You know, I really need, like, I had that moment. Yeah.
That's important also because, you know, when you're starting off, you're so desperate for stage time and you're like, let me get in here. And you don't often stop and think to yourself, like, am I ready to get in?
I just wanted it, you know? And you know what I would say too, that I've kind of realized is like, you ever see like the whole, I'm a pro, you're an open micer? This thing creates this kind of sadomasochistic relationship that, and I learned this in therapy, but like a vertical constellation versus a horizontal constellation. So anytime you create a vertical one, saying like, oh, I'm a pro, but you're just an open micer, it creates them with the same proportion that you're trying to push them down to push you down for them to vie. It ends up turning into this. And you see that all the time. You see like comics who are treated like shit, then they treat the new people like shit.
Yeah.
You know, but it creates this like race to get things. And like, you know, like it ultimately, if you got a thing and it bombed, it's way worse because now so much more people know you suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I was like, I'm getting all these things, and they weren't anything. They were like unpaid shows that quote unquote were
exposure.
Great shows or whatever. And yeah, just bombing them. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and there was places that they never booked me again till I was performing in front of like 3,000 seats in the city. Then they're like, let's have him back.
Yeah.
It took 10 years after to even, yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude, this was super fun. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys.
Tell the people where to find you. I'll link to everything in the description.
Yeah. Just KyleLucey.com is my website. LUCEY. And you know,
you have a thing on there where your people can tell you where to sign up for your email list so they know when you're coming back to Europe on the next round.
That would be great. Yeah, you can email me and you can send like all that stuff. I think if there's not a mailing list, then I need to get on there. I don't even think I have one, but I totally should. But websites where all my dates are, and I, you know, Kyle Lucey Comedy on TikTok and Instagram. I post content, so if you want to laugh, come check that out.
Yeah, grab it, check it out in the description below. Go see him live.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. This was super fun.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
The show must go on. Even if the show goes wrong. The show must go wrong.